Welcome into WagerTalk TV. I am Drew Martin, joined by Kevin Dolan and Brian Leonard of WagerTalk.com. We're talking SEC football here Saturday night, Jordan Hare Stadium, Auburn, Alabama. It's Ole Miss versus Auburn. Brian, coming to you first. We see the game open pick'em. We've seen some Auburn money. Mostly 2.5 now. Actually, some opinion in the marketplace as we're recording on Wednesday. -2, the low water mark in Las Vegas. We're seeing some offshores. -3. That's the Tigers at home. 66 being the total. What do you like in here? Ole Miss and Auburn.
Yeah, there shouldn't be a lot of variance in this game, which is a good thing. The two teams combined have only been out, lost a turnover battle one time all season. And that was when Auburn played Georgia. They were -1. So these are two teams that take care of the football. They don't make mistakes. And it's the spot, I think, is very good for Auburn here. They got the bye last week after playing LSU, Georgia, Arkansas all in a row, winning 2 of those 3, get blown out at Georgia. And Georgia's, to me, the class of college football right now. I think just about everybody feels that way. But they did have the week off, and now they're playing Ole Miss. Ole Miss, on the other hand, just played Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU. They had their bye week before they played Alabama. They started the season, Louisville, Austin Peay, Tulane, and then a bye. That's not what Mississippi wanted. Now they got to get into conference action. And like I said, Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU. After they play Auburn, even their non-conference game coming up against Liberty. Liberty's got a good football team. So tough stretch for Ole Miss. They've been pretty lucky in my regard in that they've only had the one loss to Alabama, 42-21. It's a situation for me, Mississippi's one of those teams that has a lot of plays. They had 101 plays against Tennessee, 94 against Tulane. Auburn, the last game they played, 89 plays against Arkansas. But they had that week off after that, so they'll be back fresh here. I prefer the Auburn side. I think they win this game. As long as the line's less than 3, I think it's a pretty good bet here. I mean, you've got an Ole Miss team that moves the football very well, but their defense, we've seen games this year, Alabama, 5.9 yards per play, Arkansas, 7.3, Tennessee, 5.9. So they could be beaten, and Auburn's a team that can do that. I like the Auburn side here. I think they get the victory.
Sure. Good stuff, Brian. And Kevin, coming to you next, Brian, hits on the schedule and that pointing towards the Auburn Tigers side, 100% agreement in that off of the bye week and the tough stretch for Ole Miss. I don't know, though, quarterback wise, you got to kind of hand that to Ole Miss. Coaching, I think that's up in the air, maybe even towards Ole Miss. Top to bottom, roster construction, maybe that goes to Auburn. What are your overall thoughts here Saturday night in Jordan Hare?
Well, in terms of coaching, I think the job Brian Harsin has done with this Tigers team has been impressive. 2 losses in the season so far, but, against Penn State and Georgia, absolutely no shame in that. We got to remember, too, that, Auburn had more first downs than Penn State in that game. They had the greater third down efficiency as well, held a 4.6 to 2.5 yards per rush attempt advantage over the Nittany Lions as well. So, that Penn State game was much closer than the 8-point margin kind of first appears on the box score. And to have these two teams playing on Saturday, kind of separated by 8 spots or whatever in the AP poll, 12 spots in the coaches poll, too much in my opinion. And, I do agree with Brian that Auburn's the side here. Look, at the end of the day, it's hard not to be impressed with how well Ole Miss have looked on offense this season. Top 10 offensive team on total offense, scoring offense, rushing offense, first downs, plays per game. I mean, the list goes on. But, as Brian mentioned, it's on defense where, this team struggles. The cracks kind of start to appear for this team. And I think Auburn can do damage here on Saturday against this Rebels D-line. Ole Miss ranked 72nd in the nation on opponent yards per rush attempt this season. They've given up 4.3 yards per rush attempt on the ground on average. That increases to 4.5 yards per rush attempt over the last 3 starts as well. And, things don't get any better for them in the air here either. They're giving up 7.9 yards per pass attempt to opponents through the air this season. That's 92nd in the nation. And, that's also increased to 8.5 yards per pass attempt over the last 3 starts as well. So, when you're talking about a team in Auburn who have put up 450 yards per game at home this season, that's the team I'm likely going to be looking towards in a big head-to-head matchup here. Auburn also holds a 16-3 series lead against Ole Miss in Jordan Hare Stadium. 11 of the last 17 between these two have been decided by double digits as well. So, with Auburn holding a 9-2 record in those double-digit wins. Also, with everything factored in here, I'm with Brian here. I like the Tigers to roll again this weekend, so it's Auburn for me against the Rebels on Saturday.
Sure, Kevin. Auburn's also won the last 5 meetings, 4-1 against the spread the last 5. So you've been cashing tickets with the Auburn side. Good stuff from Kevin Dolan and Brian Leonard. Guys, enjoy it with Hottie Toddy versus War Eagles Saturday night. Also, remember to check out WagerTalk.com. Guys, the live odds screen. We talked about these lines moving here, -2 to -3. Get the most up-to-date live free odds in the business, WagerTalk.com.